and thank you for coming back to my channel. My name is MCMZ Crypto and I'll be your host for today's video. Today we're going to be talking about two major things. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin and we're going to talk about Solana charts. We're going to look at the charts, we're going to analyze, and we're going to talk about some other things in between. So as you can see guys, I am wearing red today and my Bitcoin sign is red as well, just following the theme. You know, when you go to the wedding you wear white, and when you go for a funeral you wear black. Well, because we are crypto fighters, we follow the theme and support it as we can. So today is a red day, we're wearing red, okay? So what we can see today in the charts, we can see that the Bitcoin is down 11.5% on a week. That is crazy. Ethereum is down 10% of the week on the week. Well, 9 at the minute. BNB is holding really well, only 4.8% down. XRP down 11%. Solana down 16.5%. That is crazy. But the worst thing about this is that I don't think this is the end of this bearish rally down. I think there is more to come. So guys, if you want to see more, stick around and let's jump into it. By the way guys, if you like content like this, make sure you subscribe, you comment, and you share my videos to help me to grow the channel. So, but when you subscribe, make sure you click on the bell notification icon so the YouTube gives you the notification of the new releases from me. All right, without further ado, let's jump into the charts and let's see what has happened. But before we jump in the charts, I want to show you a news article that I found really interesting. Look at this. Former Ethereum developer Virgil Griffith sentenced to 5 years in prison for North Korea trip. So Griffith previously pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to violate international sanctions for giving a talk at crypto conference in Pyongyang in 2019. Let's jump into article, see what this is for. Former Ethereum developer Virgil Griffith will serve 63 months in prison and pay 100,000 fine for helping North Koreans use cryptocurrencies to evade sanctions. Obviously, we all know that the West has imposed sanctions on North Korea, but they are trying to find ways to kind of evade those sanctions, and that probably through cryptocurrencies could be one of the ways to try to evade the sanctions. And the developer has got himself in hot waters for giving a conference in Pyongyang for that. You should not mess with the American law enforcement. You know, that's one thing you don't want to mess around with. So, well, what can I say? You know, I wish the best of luck to this guy, but you know, he should have made this mistake. So it is what it is, guys. All right, without further ado, let's jump in the charts of Bitcoin. Boom. Right, so we are right now in a weekly chart of Bitcoin. What we can see that we, after this recent huge drop, after this 53% drop, we entered into this consolidation pattern on the weekly chart. Currently, we are riding the bottom line of this channel, but the reason there is a second line is because often you can see these wicks have poked through and created a line of its own. So I believe if it comes down here, this line will also be significant. If the price key starts breaking below the second line of resistance, we can be pretty sure that we're gonna probably have a massive huge drop down. You know, it could be even up to 68 to 70% down. I'm just being realistic. I don't want to upset anybody, but you know, we have to be realistic in this chart. There is of course a bullish bias as well that we could probably discuss, but right now we're going to be discussing the bearish scenario. So let's look at the daily chart right now. What has happened here? Well, we are, as we can see, we are riding on this bottom line of support. Whether we're going to have enough strength to kind of start bouncing up from this and maybe come and retest this line once again, well, that is to be seen. But what I can say, guys, I can say one thing for certain: the more times same line of resistance or support is tested, the more likely that it's going to break. What we can see here is that this upper line was tested once, twice, maybe you can count this as a third time, but the bottom line once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6 times. So on the 7th time, I'm expecting this to break and remain below. That's what price usually does. So guys, now we are back onto the weekly chart on the Bitcoin, and for me, the way I do technical analysis, I need to first determine the trend, and I need to determine which way the trend is going, the bias of the trend. Okay, so for that, let's remove these lines because we will not need them. But what we will need for this is one trend indicator such as RSI or MACD, and we will need a longer term chart which is weekly or daily, but in this case we're going to be using weekly, and we need Heikin-Ashi candles. When you put those three things together, it's a very good indication of the direction of the trend. Then after that, you can go to the smaller time frames, you can look for candlestick patterns, and you can actually look for the entry into the trade. But right now, first of all, we need to determine the direction of the trend. So we are in a weekly time frame of Bitcoin. We've got the MACD indicator on the screen. Let's flip on the Heikin-Ashi candles and let's see. So what is Heikin-Ashi saying? Well, we can see that we were in a very strong downtrend here. So basically how Heikin-Ashi work is that if it's going down, clearly we are printing red candles, and all the red candles have these wicks piercing down through the bottom, we can be sure that we are bearish. Well, since then, we can see that we have gone into this consolidation pattern with some green candles forming and candles actually forming upper wicks, which means it could be the change of the trend. It could be the point where the trend is going to start going the opposite direction. But what I can see now, currently we are printing in another very bearish Heikin-Ashi candle with the wick down, and bear in mind this is on the weekly chart. All right, so now guys, let's drop down to a daily chart and see what Heikin-Ashi is actually telling us. Well, right now on the daily chart, we can see that we've been certainly in another bearish phase with very clear downwards piercing Heikin-Ashi candles. So if we are looking for a trade, we need to switch to the smaller time frames such as 4 hour, 1 hour, and turn back to normal candles. So we can put back normal candles, come back to the chart and go to the 4 hourly. So actually, before we do this, we need to find some resistance levels. So the resistance levels we usually look for on weekly and daily charts. We need to go back up onto the higher time frame such as weekly. So now we are in a weekly chart of the Bitcoin, and we have determined the the support areas. If the price keeps going down, where is the next point of support? Let's click to daily, so we can see that these are clear support areas. So before we get to them, there is probably at least 5 to 10% downwards to go before we reach them. So okay, let's flip on the 4 hourly chart and let's see how we could potentially enter into the trade. So I can see that we are consolidating in this area. The reason we are consolidating is because there's been a lot of price action coinciding with the VPVR support here. That's why we see a little bit of sort of like congestion here. But I believe that this is going to be broken down, so broken through. So let's throw on some fibs. We are likely to come back and retest the first line of fib, which is 61, and probably from there we're going to head lower. So I believe we're going to come up to 41,000 area, and then at that point I will be very certain to enter a trade. If we make it up to 41,000, I will put a stop loss of about 3.3%, but I'll be targeting this area. So it's about 8% trade. We can actually choose to do 2 positions. We'll set the second position and we're going to make it even bigger to come down to this area. It's going to be about 3 to 1 risk to reward. It's going to be amazing trade if it happens, but you know, I do believe that this is in stock for us. Right guys, let's jump into the charts of Solana. Let's go to the daily chart of Solana and let's see what is happening. As we discussed yesterday, we are in the last support of around $100 area. like I say, if it actually manages to go up, then maybe we can have a little bounce and probably go down lower. What I can say that this is the last chance for support for Solana in the short term. The markets are very, very bearish. Look at the weekly chart of Solana. I identified some areas of support, but they are much, much lower from where we are right now. They are at around $50 area, and then there is another one at $30 area. We can clearly see on the weekly time frame that the action is bearish right now. There is nothing bullish happening. It seems like after this big bearish drop down, we had a dead cat bounce, we run into the resistance, and we are continuing our journey further down. So we are in a weekly chart. We can see that MACD histogram is still very, very bearish. Nothing good is happening there. Let's drop down to daily chart and let's examine. Actually, before we do that, let's actually check how it looks on Heikin-Ashi candles. So Heikin-Ashi candles on Solana. Yes, we can see the similar story as there was in the Bitcoin. Big, massive downtrend, break through this line of resistance, dead cat bounce, but in the process actually making about 88% move up. And if you caught that move, great, well done for you. I made some money on that move and I was very, very happy. So we run into resistance. I knew that this will happen. I was very sure it's going to happen. Resistance, bang, we are heading further down. We can see this massive red weekly candle being printed. There's nothing good happening on histogram on MACD, so it's very likely we're going further down. Right, let's switch back to daily. Right, on the daily, on the Heikin-Ashi candles, we can still see very strong bearish action going on. There is not even a wick that's poking through the top of the Heikin-Ashi, not even talking about the green candles. So what we can do, we can switch back to normal candles, go to the 4-hourly chart and potentially look for an entry. So we can see that we run into this level of support that I've identified before. There was a VPVR support also coinciding with 38.2 fib, and the price is kind of dancing around it, but it doesn't seem like it's making any bullish moves. In fact, it's making, even in the short term, quite bearish moves. So I believe that the next move is going to be down. It's going to come down to this area of $92 roughly. But if we can't hold that and we break through, we will probably break down much lower. And if we break this point of resistance here at around about $80 area, we're gonna come down here, and that is going to be about $60. So if we zoom out, that is a very, very possible scenario. Right now, I can't be talking about the bullish scenario because I simply don't see it. If I see some bullish signs, I'll be sure to report it to you guys. Don't hate me for that. It's just the truth, you know. Sometimes we need to be able to take the truth in, and it's just the way it is, because it's just in your best interest. If you're on the right side of the market and you're making the trades with the correct bias, only you will be the winner, nobody else. So, all right guys, on that sad note, unfortunately we have to finish this video, but thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and I will see you at my next video. Bye.